has a personal relationship or personal friends with Cartwright.
Cat would be Mr. Matlala.
Correct.
And Cartwright would be Cartwright in respect of that has been charged in the Medicare 24 matter.
Correct.
Okay, one of the suspects. And was this witness, one of the MJ, was this a witness that was from the crime intelligence wing investigations as well, or hadn't featured there?
It is a witness from the crime intelligence matters, from the vetting department.
And who had told you, who had communicated that MJ confirms that Cat is personal friends with Cartwright in that meeting?
It would have been Mr. Perumal because he was doing most of the talking during the meeting.
Okay. And then there's again a reference, you've got 2 arrows, and chain statements equal not yet done, legislation applicable, and then ask Matlo release of info. Is this the digital files that you were, the documents, the bid documents you were referring to?
Correct. Those are the documents.
That General Matlo was going to release, make available to you?
To make available to IDAC, yes.
Okay. At what stages do you know, and were you present in any discussions about the fact that a affidavit was now, a Section 27 affidavit was needed in respect of General Matlo? Because we know there's an affidavit that she deposes to in June of 2025, where she asks for an investigation to be initiated. When were those discussions held, that such an affidavit must come?
So after the July 6 media briefing, that team were trying to get what Advocate Johnson called the house in order, because there was even a meeting. I must place on record that at some point Advocate Johnson wasn't allowing me to take notes. She did say while she was testifying that I take comprehensive notes, and on a particular meeting she was like, you don't need to take notes, just listen. So not all the meetings have been documented. It's where I could take notes. So in that particular meeting, Advocate Johnson even indicated that the crime intelligence project diversion dockets cannot only be held by Mr. Padiachi. So she indicated that it must be put in the names of the other investigators, but only for the purposes of the name of the holder of the docket. Everything else will continue between Mr. Padiachi and Mr. Perumal.
Okay, so, but I'm asking, were you present in any meetings where a discussion was had that General Matlo has to do an affidavit to initiate, asking for the investigation to be initiated?
No, I was not directly involved in that specific aspect.
Okay. Then we can go to the 2 June meeting in your affidavit, page 20, paragraph 43.
On 2 June 2025, before General Matlo deposed to the affidavit of 6 June 2025, a meeting was held on the Medicare 24 matter, where General Matlo was present. This was highly irregular for obvious reasons, but her presence was justified by Advocate Johnson. I have been unable to retrieve these notes. They were at the office, and I have not been able to return to the office since.
I think, just to clarify, you do have notes for 2 June 2025, but not all the notes for that entire day.
Correct.
So if we go to page 45 of file 11, there are some notes that deal with the Medicare 24 matter. So maybe you can just take us through that. Page 45 on file 11. We see wellness at the top. What is that?
That is the name of the project, Project Wellness.
Which is the Medicare 24 investigation, okay?
The first aspect that was discussed, and Commissioners, this is now the 2nd of June 2025. They are already discussing that Mr. Matlala is a possible 105A, meaning plea agreement, which then,
At this point, had they spoken to him, to your knowledge?
the way they were conversing, it was almost as if it was already a done deal.
Okay, but you didn't know whether they had engaged Mr.
No,
Matlala?
I don't have knowledge about that.
Okay. So you're saying at this stage they were already discussing the possibility?
Correct.
And had they discussed what the nature of that would be?
No, that discussion didn't take place in detail.
Okay. You can refer to your statement or the notes, whichever, but on paragraph 43, you deal with that meeting on page 20.
I had a huge disagreement with Mr. Perumal regarding the aspect of the matter, which I cannot disclose before the Commission at this stage because the matter is currently scheduled to proceed to trial. Another bone of contention between Mr. Perumal and me was the issue of Section 204 engagements with Mr. Mike van Wyk. I wanted to know how Mr. Bellichin could have already met with Mr. van Wyk when the authorization had just been granted on the 16th of May 2025 and already progressed to the point where Mr. van Wyk was being considered as a 204 witness at the time of our meeting. In fact, there is no 27 referral affidavit. There is a preliminary report at that stage. I'm not aware of a final report. And yet, there are engagements for arrangements on a potential Section 204 witness. I said this cannot be. I was invited to a meeting with Mr. van Wyk and his attorney on the 28th of May, but I did not attend.
We can go to that page 615 of file 10-2, which is an exchange between you and Mr. Bellichin on, so part 10, part 2, page 615. I wasn't sure of the date, and I don't think you came back to me on the date, but it would have been around that time because the screenshot doesn't have the date, so maybe...
It was between the 27th and 28th of May.
Okay. And we see here that he says, I think the third white block, he says, will do, please avail yourself for the meeting with Mike. Is that Mike van Wyk?
Correct. I
Okay.
replied, I have a meeting with the ID now. Did Mike, and then later on during the day, I sent a message at 13:43. Did Mike come? His reply is no, tomorrow at 12. Please be available tomorrow for the meeting with Mike and his attorney. I need your pitbull approach. I reply, I really need to finish drafting.
So you didn't want to attend the meeting?
No, I did indicate on Tuesday that I found every excuse not to go to meetings after a certain point.
Then we can go back to your statement, paragraph 44 on page 21.
General Matlow then informed us of the developments regarding the internal investigation, which really did not shed light on the matter because the preliminary report had already been disclosed. I do not know when General Matlow's 6 June 2025 affidavit was submitted to IDAC, but in it, she calls for an investigation to be conducted when she already knew that Advocate Johnson had approved a Section 28(1) investigation, because Advocate Johnson had told us in her email in May 2025 that she received a call from General Matlow and that she, being Advocate Johnson, wanted to authorize the Section 28(1) by 16 May 2025. There was no further discussions regarding subpoenas.
There were further discussions.
Sorry, there were further discussions regarding subpoenas and bank statements. But after that meeting, I completely excluded myself from the investigation. I would find excuses not to attend any of the Medicare 24 meetings. If I may just explain or expand on the statement about the subpoenas and the bank statements. I had gone at length to explain you cannot start an investigation with a 204 because the 204 is going to mislead you. You need to investigate and then approach. So in this meeting, Mr. Van Wyk had provided 3 bank account details for Mr. Matlala. And Mr. Belochan had indicated they were only going to subpoena those accounts. And I said, no, you cannot do that. You have to send a subpoena to all the banks with the ID number, because we are dealing with money laundering. We cannot go on the 3 bank accounts only that are provided by someone who's also implicated. And Mr. Belochan said to me, if that, I'm doing this my way.
And so that's again one of the issues that you have with him, that he just does his own thing without prosecution involvement.
Correct. And no matter how you complain, nothing changes. That team pretty much does whatever they want. And if you complain to Advocate Johnson, I have explained what happens.
Could it not be said that because she was in charge, I mean, she's a prosecutor, she was in charge of this project, so they were doing it with her directions. They may not have listened to you, but the person in charge, clearly they were engaging with.
I gathered so.
Okay, we can then move on to another topic, which is prosecution memo on General Masemola and General Khumalo, page 21, paragraph 45 of your statement.
Sorry, maybe before you do that, and it may be that you're dealing with it in this very next heading, the report, the audit report, to my recollection, does not make any allegations or accusations of General Masemola.
No, nothing of, not even the final report.
Yes. Now, and then it takes me to my next question, which is really more a process question, that is there any reason that you would have excluded, when I say you, I mean IDEC, that you would have kept the National Commissioner in the dark, where you're looking at Medicare 24 based on a report that doesn't make any allegation against him in your operation? How does it work in your operations?
Commissioner, once again, you're so far ahead of us. I do deal with that with my notes on the 8th of July.
You'll deal with it when you get there.
Thank you.
Okay. 45.
After the arrest of General Lushaba and 3 others, and thereafter General Khumalo and others in the Mukwele matter, we were in the process of moving officers, yet the pressure to enroll matters against General Masemola and General Khumalo did not ease. There were already draft J50 affidavits for the arrest of General Masemola and General Khumalo in respect of the appointment of General Khumalo to Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence. It was sent to us on the 2nd of July, 2025.
Can we go to that document, page 500 of 10, part 2? It's an email from Mr. Perumal to you and Advocate Lashwayo regarding Brian Affidavit.
500.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
So it's at the 2nd of July, 2025, 11:13:34, high attached as requested. And I think we will see later why you probably requested it on that day, because you were busy preparing a memo.
Correct.
Okay. So we then can go to the document on page 502, which is an affidavit by Mr. Pariachi, a draft, in support of an application for a warrant of arrest in terms of Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Act. And he gives in paragraph 1, I am tasked with the investigations of a case docket referenced Pretoria Central CAS no number 06-2025. Why
Correct.
would he do that?
At this point, they were opening, my apologies, they were opening new dockets. They were not going according to the dockets that were referred to IDAC by Mr. Fadil. So he had left that space open. But commissioners, if we take note of the fact that, of what I said on Tuesday, this is coming from Mr. Perumal in the Eastern Cape. drafted in the name of Mr. Padiachi.
Okay, he says, and then at paragraph 6, I therefore bring an application for the authorization of warrants of arrest in terms of section 43 of Act 51 of 1977 for the 7 suspects whose details appear in the attached J50s and who summarily are Sitlale Fani Masemola, Leneo Nkua, Sydney, I think he meant to say Samuel, Dumisani Kumalo, Timothy Moyana, Gerhardus Jacobus Kemp, Abram Kibitle Secheri, and Ntuseng. I won't say the surname.
Correct.
Okay. And those were the suspects that he had prepared a J54 on the 2nd of July.
Correct.
Now, just take us back to the process under, so this would have been under what leg of operation diversion?
It would have been leg 3.
Which is the Masemola Kumalo, the vetting.
It's the appointment of General Kumalo by General Masiamula without General Kumalo having his security clearance. And there were flimsy allegations about General Masiamula asking General Khan about how he, to just
We'll
follow
get
up
to
on the process. Yeah.
We'll get to the detail of it when we look at your prosecution memo. At paragraph 7.1, we can see the background of the case. He talks about that it's regarding the unlawful appointment of Kumalo.
Correct.
Okay. And then he talks about, on page 505, the vetting and appointment of Kumalo as divisional commissioner. So he sets out everything in his affidavit.
Correct.
Okay, and the intention was that he would use this for purposes of getting the warrant of arrest.
Yes, and Advocate Schlatzwayo and I were being put under immense pressure to start drafting the in-consultation note, the prosecution memo, and the chart sheet for enrollment.
And the prosecution memo was necessary because you needed to support the J50
Correct.
as the prosecutor.
Correct.
Could it go ahead without your prosecution memo? Forget about Advocate Johnson pulling rank, but the normal process.
No, the normal process is that you have to put in a prosecution memo as to support the evidence, or rather, to show that the evidence obtained in the docket supports the offenses that you are preferring.
Okay. So we'll come back to this. Let's go back to your statement so that we can understand. You get this email with this affidavit in support of a J50 for the arrest of, amongst others, the National Commissioner
Correct.
and the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence.
Correct.
And so you say you and Advocate Lachwayo then meet. So you can continue from there.
On 2 July 2025, Advocate Schlatzwayo and I met to discuss the case regarding the appointment of General Kumalo.
I just want you to elaborate on this briefly, because when you were discussing it with me in consultation, you elaborated on what the relationship was like at the time between the two of you, and why why it is significant that the two of you got together to prepare this memo.
Advocate Johnson ran the office as divide and conquer. You're scared to even speak to your colleague because you don't know what gossip or twists. So it's a very uncomfortable, toxic environment where we just don't trust each other. So Advocate Schlatzwayo and I we hadn't worked together before. I didn't know where she stood. She didn't know where I stood. But when we were being forced to do this, the conversation went along the lines of, these guys are going to ruin our careers. These are HR matters. We are not putting it on the roll. It is then that we decided on the 2nd of July to meet and attend to the memo.
Okay. And you can then So you meet to discuss the case regarding the appointment of General Kumalo, and at the time, there was a lot of distrust created by Advocate Johnson. And then, however, we knew that we had to make our views known on these matters. So you can start from, we discussed the evidence.
We discussed the evidence and agreed that there was no prima facie case against the generals. In fact, we were both of the view that something was amiss on the part of Advocate Johnson, Mr. Perumal, Belochin, and Padiachi. We decided to prepare a prosecution memo for Advocate Johnson, setting out our analysis of the evidence. Our recommendation was that there was no prima facie case. This was not the first memo that I had prepared regarding the crime intelligence matters. Prior to the arrest of General Kumalo and others in the Mokwele matter, I had commenced drafting a memo indicating that there was no prima facie case against the accused. Unfortunately, I fell ill. I could not finalize and submit the memo. It is also for this reason that I was not aware of the enrollment of the Mokwele matter and arrests. Returning to the memo of 2 July 2025, we submitted the memo to Advocate Johnson on the same day. And to our utter surprise, she agreed with the assessment that there was no prima facie case.
So can we go to first the email and then the memo, page 379 of file 10? Just from a timing point of view, so while you find the page 379, you get the affidavit of the draft affidavit of Mr. Pariachi that morning, Wednesday, and at 18:47 that same day, you send a prosecution evidence report, vetting and promotions leg 4. You say it is to Advocate Johnson, the project manager, Mr. Sissoko. You have Joy in there, and then the PA of Advocate Johnson.
Correct.
Okay, you can read the email.
Good evening, ID. Trust you are well. I apologize that we could not submit earlier. We only finished drafting at 5 p.m. Attached is our combined report and submissions after careful consideration of all factors. Kind regards.
Now, had Advocate Johnson expected you to submit this report because Mr. Pariachi had his draft affidavit for the J50, or?
Advocate Johnson was expecting us to submit the charge sheet in a prosecution memo showing that there is evidence linking it to the offenses, or elements of the offense, and the in consultation note for the DDPP.
Okay, so she was expecting to get a document that was supportive of the J50, essentially.
Correct.
Okay. And then if we can go to the memo on page 382, and we'll just highlight certain aspects of it. You can read, so it's memorandum, prosecutor's report, evidence, vetting and promotions. Title State Advocates 2 July 2025. It's from you and Advocate Hlachwayo.
Regarding the lack of material evidence in leg 4 of project diversion. My apologies, Commissioner Kumalo, it's leg 4, not 3.
Yes, leg 3
He
is
was
Madondo.
going to correct you
Leg 3 is
later.
Madondo.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. It's just because of the order in which it was done, and you explained that in your memo, why it's leg 4 first. So let's do that, paragraph 2.
In summary, the prosecutors were informed that a decision was taken to move forward with leg 4 before leg 3, and that a charge sheet and all accompanying documents were to be drafted. This was communicated to us on Friday, the 27th of June, 2025, by Chief Perumal. Below is a summary of the statements contained in the docket and evidential flaws. It is our submission that there is currently no prima facie case, thus there is currently no reasonable possibility of a successful prosecution.
Now, can I just understand, were you told why there was this change in order, why you were going to do leg 4, which is the arrest of General Masemola with General Kumalo, amongst others, as opposed to leg 3, which would have been the primary suspects there was General Kumalo and General Madondo?
No, there was no explanation. It was just Mr. Perumal telling us this is what the ID wants.
Did you have any idea, did you have a suspicion as to what it could be?
If I keep voicing my suspicions, I'm getting into trouble. And I'll go back to my first statement, I think it was paragraph 59, where I said there was an orchestrated attack. And there was issues or complaints by Mr. Padiachi and Mr. Perumal and Advocate Johnson at the time that NASCOM, General Masiamula, was not acting on suspending the CI7 accused.
This is after their arrest.
Yes.
Okay.
And this would make sense because it was communicated to you. Say the decision to move leg 4 up was communicated on Friday, the 27th of June, which would have
Correct.
been after the arrest and after the first appearance.
Correct.
Okay. And that is a decision that was, did you know who took that decision? I know it was communicated by Chief Perumal, but do you know who took that decision?
Mr. Perumal said that it was instruction of the ID, being Advocate Johnson.
Okay. We're not going to do the summary of all the witness statements, but can we do the A1? That is Mr. Adams.
Correct. A1, Fadil Adams. He received anonymous information that Divisional Commissioner Masiamula...
You mean National Commissioner?
Sorry,
there.
National Commissioner. It's supposed to have been National Commissioner. Masiamula appointed Khumalo to head of crime intelligence, and that Becky Cele, who was then the Minister of Police, was involved while highly skilled generals were overlooked.
Did Mr. Adams tell you who the highly skilled generals were that were overlooked?
No.
Okay.
Further, that Khumalo's vetting was allegedly fast-tracked by Masiamula, and that Masiamula knew that Khumalo did not have top security clearance. That he suspects vetting process was manipulated in favor of Khumalo. He further states that Khumalo worked as a captain. He had no skills or experience in CI at senior management level.
Then you can do the A3?
A3 is General
Yes.
Feroz Khan.
Yes, don't forget it is general.
He is a Major General, CI, Head of Counter and Security Intelligence. He is responsible for national border security and counterintelligence, inclusive of vetting section and the counterintelligence investigations. He was not involved in the vetting process of Khumalo. He was contacted on the 28th of November 2022 on an urgent basis to see NATCOM, Masiamula. I was instructed to check up, we are now quoting from his statement, I was instructed to check up on the TSC, top security clearance, of the incoming DivCom Khumalo, and I was asked to give him support. Did not contact anyone at his office, found this conduct to be unprofessional and improper.
Meaning he found General Masamola's conduct to be unprofessional.
Correct, and improper. Further states that Lushaba was acting DivCom and that the post could not be filled as Lieutenant General Jacobs was removed and temporarily placed in another post by previous NATCOM, Sitole, due to internal disciplinary and criminal proceedings. If I can just clarify, this Lieutenant General Jacobs is the same Lieutenant General Jacobs that the dockets were collected from at Inspectorate.
Okay.
He indicates he does not know what informed Masiamula to appoint Khumalo, as he did not have top security clearance at that point. He states that Masiamula knew that Khumalo should have TSC as a senior manager. He further states that Khumalo did not have managerial experience within, it's supposed to be Div of CI, and it raised